Alright, I figured I'd make a video showing y'all some basic after treatment diagnostics. Right now we're working on, I don't know, I think it's like a 2016, 2018 Peterbilt 520. It's a trash truck. Looks just like that one. Driver saying he has a regeneration issue, but I found he inhibited it 5 times because currently there are no issues that I'm seeing while we're running it. So just a few things we're going to go over. So starting with our DPF injector pressure. So that's the after treatment fuel pressure. That's the fuel that's getting shot into the exhaust. That's going to mix with that DOC. Now this DOC is a diesel oxidation catalyst. What that does is it mixes with the fuel, creates an excessive amount of heat to burn off the soot. So a good DOC, you want to see a heat transfer, right? So you see the DOC inlet temperature right there is 667 degrees. So that's from your engine. Your VGT on your turbocharger will help create some type of heat, contribute to that type of heat to get up there. And then, so before you got 665, something like that. And then after you have 979. So almost a little over a 300 degree difference. And so that's a good operating diesel oxidation catalyst. So all that heat is then going to go into your DPF, which is your diesel particulate filter. Now this is the after treatment. After treatment is your DOC and your DPF. Next we'll get into the SCR. So for the DPF, right now we're showing up here at the right above normal, least severe soot level. So the ECM's calculating the soot level based off of a plethora of inputs such as engine runtime, your DPF outlet pressure, and your DPF differential pressure. Those are the 3 main you're going to get. So right now, but there's nothing abnormal. Your delta P, your DPF differential pressure is reading normal. DPF outlet's reading normal. It's just showing that there's soot buildup. Now, if we run this and those numbers do not lower, sometimes you have to run 2 depending on how soot loaded it is, the DPF. And especially on these vocational trash trucks, if they're going stop to stop and they're not running down the highway because they have a residential route or a short route, then you can get this to where you have to run a regeneration every couple days. That's a stationary forced regen. Because remember, these are supposed to have a passive regeneration where they're running down the highway to create this type of heat. So across our DPF, you're going to want it to go anywhere from 900 to 1100 degrees. That is a good operating after treatment system. So you can see our DPF inlet is 984, and then after it is 1046. So if you see a huge difference, so say we had 984 on our DPF inlet and we had 1300 on our DPF outlet, right? Or vice versa, if we had 983 on our inlet and only 600 on our DPF outlet, that's telling me that the DPF is severely clogged up, that there's no flow through it. Because we have high temperature coming in, low temperature going out, which means there's not enough flow through the DPF. And if you do see it to where your DPF inlet is about 300 degrees lower than your DPF outlet, let it finish the regeneration, because that could just be you have an excessive amount of soot towards the end of this DPF filter. So it's trying to burn that off, and soot, will create a lot of heat whenever it's mixed with, the heat in the exhaust. So now next, we're going to come over here. This is your DEF, right? Everybody calls it DEF, which is your SCR, selective catalyst recirculation, and that's your SCR filter. So you also have an SCR catalyst, just like the DOC, but one for the SCR. It just doesn't show it in here. So the biggest thing on these, let's start with, your DEF tank level. That has to be above, I think, like 15 or 18% for it to even operate. Then this is one that always gets people. So that 91.4 degrees of that DEF tank, if that DEF tank has a leaking heater control valve, it will overheat to around 130, 160 degrees. So basically, you know, operating coolant temperature, it will not allow the DEF pump to inject that DEF into the exhaust, because that DEF needs to be cooler. That way when it does inject with the exhaust, it has a chemical reaction with the heat and with the DOC for the SCR, you know, the SCR catalyst, sorry, not the DOC, but the SCR catalyst with that cooler DEF and the hot exhaust, it creates a chemical reaction to convert your NOx. So right here you'll see, what is it, upstream NOx concentration. So you use these two sensors, the NOx, the upstream or NOx sensor 1, and then downstream or NOx sensor 2. So if you're not seeing a conversion there, say that was 100, that was 100, then I know there's something going on with my SCR catalyst or my SCR filter. So next thing, 131, so that's around 130, well, it can be 125 to 145 psi of DEF pressure on a big truck. Pickup trucks, they're normally lower, around 80 or 90 psi. But as long as you have that pressure, you know that you have that pressure up into the injector. And then once you get to that injector, oh shit, let me go back. Sorry, hit the wrong button. So, you know you have that pressure up to the injector, and then on the injector itself, it's electronically controlled to open to allow the DEF to inject into the exhaust. Right here, so our SCR inlet temperature and our SCR outlet, same thing, right? It's not going to be quite the difference, but I mean close to it. So your inlet and outlet should be similar, you know, 20-30 degrees if it's not clogged up. But the after treatment and SCR basically function the same way, right? You have a liquid that's getting injected into the exhaust, that's mixing with the catalyst, that's cleaning out a filter. Same thing, right? Just imagine there's a catalyst there. There's your injector injecting DEF, mixing with the catalyst, right? Cleaning out our filter, converting it to NOx. So that's just a quick rundown of how the after treatment, right? After treatment's diesel, DOC, DPF. SCR is the SCR catalyst, SCR filter, DEF. So that's a quick rundown. Little 8-minute video of some things you can check. You know, this is just some easy diagnostics on these bigger trucks. So hope y'all enjoyed the video. Hope it was informational. Let me know if y'all have any questions and comments. God bless.